Happy Advent! First Sunday of Advent. And if you happen to go to a traditional church, which no one seems to go to anymore, you may hear a lectionary passage from Matthew 24, verses 36 to 44. It's kind of strange, seems kind of strange that this passage is there during Advent. It doesn't seem very Christmassy. But it's a passage about the parousia, the second coming of Christ. And it starts out by saying no one knows when Jesus will come back. Jesus says not even the angels, not even the Son of Man. No one knows. But he says, keep awake, be alert, and be on the lookout. And then he says in his story, he talks about a thief, that God will come like a thief in the night. And if we could have prepared for that, we would have been ready. We would have made preparations. But God, Jesus says, is like a thief. So be ready, because he says at the end of the passage that the Son of Man will come back at an unexpected hour. When we don't expect it, when we least expect it. So be on the lookout. Well, I don't know how all that second coming stuff works. You got your pre-millennialists, your post-millennialists, your pre-tribulation people. Here's a pastor joke for you. I'm a pan-millennialist. It'll all pan out in the end. So don't need to worry about it. Don't need to fret about it. But I think there's a basic principle here for life on where we find God and a pattern for how God breaks into our lives. Because I think God does break into our lives. In fact, God has never left. We're in God, we live in God, we move in God, we have our being in God. God's never left, but I kind of like this imagery. So God is like a thief. So this passage is saying, and all of Advent means be alert, be awake, be on the lookout. So what if we did that every day of our lives? Be on the lookout for God, because God breaks into our lives when we least expect it and when we need it the most. But we're so often unaware of God's presence, and we hide ourselves away. We seal up our hearts, our minds, our lives. We hide ourselves away, but God is stealthy, sneaky, and loves to work in secret. I think this passage gives us all kinds of clues on that stealthy, sneaky God. This Emmanuel God who is always with us, but who at moments breaks into our lives and we become aware that there is God, there is grace. So maybe when you need it most and you're hiding away, God will break in. And he's not like a thief, but he's like Santa Claus. Here I am comparing God to Santa Claus. Oh my goodness. But doesn't take away, doesn't steal, doesn't destroy. Remember that other passage in Scripture that says a thief comes to steal and destroy, talking about the accuser. That's not God. God comes in to gift us. Does it in sneaky, stealthy, secret ways. So perhaps when we need it most, when we need God's compassion most, God will break in with his compassion, with his love, with his grace, with his mercy, with his encouragement. And that God is always and will always break into our lives and bring us himself and his presence and his grace and his love. So how do you know where God is? Look for love. And wherever there is love and peace, there is God. And I experienced it last night when I was on call. There was this woman who was dying. Their family asked and told me about a secret sin of hers and that she needed forgiveness. And so we talked about forgiveness, and I spoke some words, and there was God breaking in. God's presence as we experience grace and love and forgiveness. So be on the lookout for God the thief this Advent, this Christmas. It's the Emmanuel God who comes in secret and sneaky ways. Yeah. So if you can take encouragement from that today, take what's helpful and leave the rest. And until next time, hey, come here. May you live all the days